most of the world's oceans are largely unknown to humans.
Until recently, more human beings have flown to the moon than have dived to the deepest spot on Earth.
Surface, LF, present depth, 10914.
Beneath crushing pressure and complete darkness, the Puerto Rico Trench hides one of the ocean's last true frontiers.
We know more about probably the surface of Mars than we do about the surface of our own planet. The Earth is covered 71% by ocean.
When scientists finally sent a deep-sea drone into its depths, what they recorded stunned the entire research team.
You know, you could see near the surface there would be fish, and it's like you go through that surface and there's a parallel universe down there. It's another world within our world.
Strange movements, unexplainable signals, and an eerie, unexpected glow appeared on their monitors. This isn't science fiction, it's a real corner of our planet, and the footage suggests that whatever lives down there may not want to be discovered. The Atlantic's hidden abyss. The ocean is one of Earth's last true frontiers, yet some areas are so deep and inaccessible that more humans have walked on the moon than have reached their floors. Among these mysteries lies the Puerto Rico Trench, a colossal underwater chasm stretching across the Atlantic, just north of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. For decades, this trench remained largely untouched, hidden from maps, and ignored by explorers, despite its proximity to human civilization. At its deepest point, the trench plunges over 8.4 kilometers below the surface, deeper than Mount Everest is tall. Drop the world's tallest mountain into its depths, and its peak would still vanish beneath the crushing waves. But depth is only part of what makes the trench so formidable. It sits at the collision zone of the North American plate and the Caribbean plate, where enormous slabs of Earth are constantly grinding, sliding, and colliding. This tectonic tension has produced deadly earthquakes and tsunamis, including the catastrophic 1918 earthquake near Puerto Rico that killed over 100 people and displaced thousands more. For decades, scientists treated the trench with extreme caution. Its jagged cliffs, unpredictable ridges, and immense pressure made human exploration a dangerous gamble. While other famous trenches like the Mariana Trench attracted explorers, funding, and media attention, the Puerto Rico Trench was left largely in the shadows, yet its tectonic complexity makes it even more unpredictable than its better-known cousins. The trench is a rare combination of subduction and strike-slip faults, meaning the plates slide downward and sideways at the same time. This creates enormous pressure that can be released suddenly, violently, and without warning. Its proximity to millions of people only heightens the danger. Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and nearby Caribbean nations lie directly in the trench's potential impact zone. A major seismic event could trigger tsunamis that reach not only the islands, but even the U.S. East Coast. For years, the trench was approached more as a threat than as a subject of exploration, with scientists focusing on monitoring and disaster preparedness rather than venturing into its depths. Financial and logistical challenges also limited exploration. Deep-sea research requires advanced submersibles, sonar equipment, and pressure-resistant cameras. For decades, these resources were directed toward more famous, deeper trenches. But with advancements in technology, scientists finally gained the tools to probe the Puerto Rico Trench safely, revealing a landscape as stunning as it is dangerous. Early missions showed the ocean floor to be rugged and unstable. Steep walls, narrow ridges, and loose sediments dominated the terrain. Even minor shifts could trigger underwater landslides or disrupt entire sections of the seabed. But beyond the geology, subtle anomalies suggested there was more lurking in the depths than anyone had anticipated. And while the trench had been overlooked for decades, the world was about to discover that its secrets went far beyond tectonic activity and extreme depths. Strange formations, shifting sediments, and unusual patterns hinted at forces at play that defied easy explanation. The Puerto Rico Trench was no longer just a hazard to be monitored. It was a frontier demanding to be explored. With new technology enabling unprecedented access, scientists began descending into the abyss. Submersibles and remotely operated vehicles captured detailed imagery, high-resolution data, and videos of processes that had never been observed. Early dives revealed geological movements, unexpected formations, and hints of life thriving in the extreme conditions. Yet the most extraordinary discoveries were still hidden in the shadows, waiting for researchers to push deeper. As they prepared to explore further, one question hung over every mission. What else might be lurking in this dark, crushing, and enigmatic world, beyond the reach of light, pressure, and human understanding? The answers would soon emerge, revealing mysteries that would shock scientists and rewrite our knowledge of Earth's hidden depths. Unlocking the trench's secrets. For decades, the Puerto Rico Trench remained one of the most inaccessible and least explored places on Earth. Its enormous depth, unstable terrain, and crushing pressure discouraged human missions. But the early 2000s brought a turning point. In 2002 and 2003, teams from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration launched the first systematic explorations of the trench, combining advanced sonar mapping, remotely operated vehicles, and deep-sea sensors. Their goal was clear: chart the trench in detail and understand the hidden forces shaping its floor. The missions revealed an environment more alien and hostile than anyone had expected. The trench is not a flat abyss, but a chaotic landscape of jagged ridges, steep cliffs, and sudden drop-offs. Remotely operated vehicles had to navigate through unpredictable terrain where a single miscalculation could bury the instruments under tons of shifting sediment. Yet, despite these challenges, the teams discovered something groundbreaking: the precise location of the Milwaukee Deep. At over 27,400 feet, the Milwaukee Deep represents the deepest point in the Atlantic Ocean, a staggering depth that rivals some of the most famous points in the Pacific. This revelation confirmed what scientists had long suspected. The trench is not just a deep anomaly, but a massive, dynamic geological feature that could reveal new insights about Earth's crust, tectonic activity, and the processes that shape oceanic basins. Mapping the area also exposed a massive fault system running along the trench floor. Its size and complexity mirrored California's San Andreas Fault, known for frequent, devastating earthquakes. The discovery explained the trench's history of seismic activity and illuminated the hidden risks that surround the northern Caribbean islands. Suddenly, the Puerto Rico Trench transformed from a distant mystery into a potential threat to millions of nearby residents. The 2002 to 2003 missions did more than map geology. They revealed a trench that was still active, still moving. Sediment layers had shifted, rock formations were disturbed, and ridges appeared freshly torn. These subtle signs hinted at underwater landslides and tectonic adjustments that had gone unnoticed by surface-based earthquake sensors. The trench was alive and dangerous. This awakening drew global attention. Governments began rethinking disaster preparedness and tsunami warning systems for the Atlantic Basin.
Because we don't know when the earthquake occurred, and we don't know still when the tsunami will come. There is a blink of the sensor of the location of the source.
Previously considered less at risk than the Pacific, scientists realized that the trench could produce events capable of impacting Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Haiti, and even the U.S. East Coast. But while seismic activity was being studied, other mysteries of the trench remained untouched. What was life like at such crushing depths? Could ecosystems exist in a world of permanent darkness and extreme pressure? By 2015, technology had advanced enough to take exploration further than ever before. The Okeanos Explorer, also operated by NOAA, conducted the most sophisticated deep-sea mission ever launched in the Atlantic. What set this mission apart was its live public feed. Audiences worldwide could watch in real time as robotic arms touched the ocean floor. Cameras scanned otherworldly landscapes, and researchers reacted to discoveries as they happened. Remotely operated vehicles descended over 6 kilometers into the trench, transmitting high-definition imagery of a world that seemed more alien than familiar. The terrain was rugged and jagged, marked by cliffs and narrow ridges. Loose sediments and unstable rock formations highlighted the trench's unpredictability. Scientists observed shifts that could have been caused by small tectonic events or landslides, evidence that the trench was still very much in motion. The expedition also recorded unusual sounds, deep, low-frequency rumbles and groans that couldn't be attributed to marine life alone. It was as if the Earth itself was communicating, whispering warnings through vibrations that only sensitive instruments could detect. And then, something even stranger began to appear. Subtle, unexplained movements that hinted at the presence of living organisms adapted to this extreme environment. By the end of the mission, one thing was clear. The Puerto Rico Trench was not only a geological wonder, but also a potential biological treasure trove. Life in the abyss was thriving in ways scientists had never imagined, and the trench's mysteries had only just begun to surface. As researchers prepared for subsequent dives, the question lingered. If life could survive, and even flourish, under crushing pressure and eternal darkness, what forms might it take? And what secrets were still waiting, hidden in the trench's shadowy depths, ready to challenge everything humanity thought it knew about the ocean? Creatures of the unseen depths. For centuries, humans assumed that the ocean's deepest reaches were lifeless wastelands. After all, without sunlight, with temperatures near freezing and pressures that could crush submarines, how could life survive? Yet as remotely operated vehicles descended into the Puerto Rico Trench, that assumption crumbled. Cameras began capturing faint glimmers in the darkness, flickers that pulsed and moved, revealing creatures unlike anything ever seen. At first, scientists questioned whether their instruments were malfunctioning, but the patterns were too deliberate, too fluid to be mechanical interference. What they were witnessing was bioluminescence, deep-sea organisms generating their own light to navigate, hunt, and communicate in a world where the sun never reaches. Some were ethereal, drifting like glowing ribbons. Others were angular, almost robotic in their movements. The colors ranged from ghostly blues to eerie greens, painting a surreal underwater aurora across the trench floor. Among the discoveries were enormous amphipods, some measuring nearly a foot in length, giant cousins of the tiny shrimp-like creatures found closer to the surface. With translucent bodies and powerful appendages, these deep dwellers thrived under pressures that would obliterate ordinary animals. Each movement, each feeding behavior, demonstrated life's incredible adaptability, rewriting what scientists thought was possible in the most extreme environments. But the trench wasn't just home to solitary wanderers. Hydrothermal vents punctuated the ocean floor, releasing superheated, mineral-rich water that fueled entire ecosystems. Around these vents, life exploded in vibrant diversity. Tube worms stretched from the seabed like alien skyscrapers, their red plumes swaying in the mineral-laden currents. Filter-feeding crabs scuttled over jagged rock formations, while bacterial mats glowed faintly under the dim light, converting chemicals from the vent into usable energy, a process called chemosynthesis. Here, life didn't rely on sunlight at all. It thrived on heat, chemicals, and sheer survival ingenuity. These discoveries carried implications far beyond the Atlantic. If life could flourish in the crushing darkness of the Puerto Rico Trench, it suggested that other extreme worlds, like Europa, Jupiter's icy moon, might harbor life as well. Scientists suddenly glimpsed the possibility of ecosystems in places previously dismissed as barren. The biological surprises didn't end there. Many deep-sea organisms displayed adaptations that could revolutionize medicine and technology. Certain bacteria produced compounds capable of resisting extreme pressures and temperatures, potentially useful in fighting antibiotic-resistant infections. Gel-like substances from other creatures remained flexible even at freezing temperatures, inspiring innovations in biomaterials for prosthetics and soft tissue repair. Enzymes that functioned under immense pressure opened doors to new industrial processes, from biodegrading plastics to refining DNA research technique. Capturing these creatures was no easy task. The extreme environment made physical collection nearly impossible. Many species could only be studied through high-resolution video. Their delicate forms often disintegrated when brought to the surface. Yet, even these fleeting glimpses were enough to reveal an ecosystem thriving against every imaginable odds. But while life's resilience captivated researchers, they also noticed something odd about the trench floor itself. Instruments began detecting subtle forces tugging at sensors, hints of movement not caused by currents or tectonics. Something invisible seemed to pull and prod at their equipment, a phenomenon that could not be explained by geology alone. As scientists prepared to descend deeper, it became clear. The trench was not only alive biologically, but it held secrets of physics and Earth itself that were still poorly understood. For every glowing creature revealed, the ocean whispered a greater enigma, and it was this strange interplay between living, breathing organisms and the invisible forces tugging at the instruments that set the stage for the next, even more astonishing discovery: a gravity anomaly unlike anything ever recorded on the planet. The trench's unseen force. Just when scientists thought the Puerto Rico Trench had revealed its wonders in life and ecosystems, the ocean threw them an entirely different enigma, one that couldn't be seen, touched, or even fully explained. It was not a creature, a vent, or a ridge, but a force. Gravity itself, behaving in ways that defied expectation. Gravity is usually constant, a silent and invisible hand keeping us grounded, keeping water in oceans, and anchoring the moon in orbit. But measurements taken over the trench told a completely different story. Instruments recorded a dramatic decrease in gravitational pull, an anomaly so extreme it set records for the weakest gravity ever measured on Earth. Instead of a steady downward tug, the data showed a strange lightness, as if part of the Earth's mass had vanished beneath the waves. Scientists reported a staggering -380 milligals, a deviation that in geophysical terms is enormous and utterly mysterious. So what could cause such a phenomenon? One possibility points to the warping of Earth's crust. The Puerto Rico Trench sits at the collision of the North American and Caribbean plates, a volatile intersection where tectonic forces bend, grind, and slide layers of Earth in unpredictable ways. The downward bowing of the crust stretches the rock, thinning it, reducing density, and in turn, weakening the gravitational pull in that region. Another factor could be the accumulation of sediments over millions of years. Layers of low-density material act almost like a cushion, further dampening gravity's force. And deeper still, variations in the mantle, the layer beneath the crust, might also be influencing these readings. What scientists had initially thought was a local oddity suddenly seemed like a window into the very structure of the planet itself. But the anomaly wasn't just a number on a screen. It had real consequences. Weakened gravity can subtly influence tectonic behavior, potentially explaining why the Puerto Rico Trench is one of the Atlantic's most earthquake-prone regions. Seismic energy could accumulate quietly, only to release suddenly in devastating tremors or tsunamis. Even the ocean currents are affected. Small variations in gravity ripple outward, influencing circulation patterns in the Caribbean and beyond, subtly affecting weather systems and marine behavior. While many researchers focused on crustal movement, sediments, and mantle density to explain the anomaly, a smaller group began to question whether something entirely unexpected might be at play. Could there be unknown subterranean structures hidden beneath the trench? Massive voids, mineral formations, or even undiscovered geological features capable of distorting gravity? And if Earth itself could behave strangely here, could other invisible forces be lurking, waiting to reveal themselves to those brave enough to look? Every dive into the trench seemed to confirm that it didn't play by the usual rules. Bioluminescent life thrived where it shouldn't. Tectonic activity churned unpredictably, and now gravity itself was inconsistent. Each discovery raised more questions than it answered. And yet, even as scientists wrestled with this invisible force, the trench was about to unveil an even darker, more startling secret. During a subsequent expedition, equipped with the latest submersibles and sensors, researchers ventured deeper than ever before. What they found was not just unusual rocks or subtle pulls of gravity, but something far more tangible, something alive. The Puerto Rico Trench had been keeping one final secret: signs of life adapted to extremes beyond imagination, thriving in conditions that should have been inhospitable. And this discovery would take the mysteries of the trench from strange physics into shocking biological revelations, setting the stage for the next chapter in its hidden world. The trench finally speaks. After years of speculation and unanswered questions, the Puerto Rico Trench revealed new secrets during a series of daring dives. Using the upgraded Alvin submersible, scientists descended over 21,000 feet into the crushing depths, capturing crystal-clear images and data that had been impossible just a decade ago. What they encountered went far beyond expectations: strange landscapes, unseen life, and signs of an active, shifting world beneath the waves. Hydrothermal vents were more numerous than anticipated, surrounded by rock formations unlike anything recorded in other trenches. Some structures appeared recently formed, hinting at ongoing geological activity. The trench was alive in ways that went beyond tectonic shifts. Even more astonishing were the extremophilic organisms thriving under pressures that would crush ordinary life. These creatures glowed, moved, and fed in total darkness, near superheated waters, proving that life adapts to conditions humans once thought impossible. The Puerto Rico Trench was not just a barren abyss. It was a thriving ecosystem of bizarre, pressure-hardened life forms. Yet the mission also brought a sobering reality. Human impact reaches even these remote depths. Plastic fragments, metal debris, and broken glass littered the seafloor, threatening delicate ecosystems. Scientists realized that the trench, though distant and extreme, was not immune to pollution, emphasizing the urgent need to protect our oceans. These dives marked a turning point. Alvin's advanced technology confirmed that the trench was a dynamic, fragile, and complex frontier, alive with geological and biological activity. Every discovery, from glowing life to shifting sediments, added layers of wonder and concern. As the submersible returned to the surface, scientists knew the trench had more secrets than ever imagined. Its depths held clues not only to life's resilience, but to the planet's hidden forces, mysteries that begged to be explored further, setting the stage for even stranger revelations about the Puerto Rico Trench. Thanks for diving into the mysteries of the Puerto Rico Trench with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more astonishing discoveries.